you have a good Christmas and a good New Year? We had a great opportunity the last few days, with Christmas being how it is with the services and that. We don't go away to see the in-laws, Rosemary's parents, but we had a chance then finally come the end of the week and went to Belleville and on the farm there, and just a great chance to relax and be together. Little Micah learned to crawl on New Year's Day. So look out, world, yeah. Now lock up all those counters that are a little slow, everything's, when they get their knees under them, pretty soon come the legs, and then wow. And then you'll say in May, what have I done? Another one coming. Let's look at this video, Arise, Shine. Today we're going to do a soft launch for the theme of the year, and God's even been stirring my heart this morning as to how to flow with this a bit. So we're going to change things a little bit even than I thought as we start this morning. But I want you to look at this Arise, Shine video that we've been looking at, and then I'll just share a little bit. Arise, Shine 2016. And here's what we are in a nutshell with that, is what God's been doing over the last 2 years. He wants to take it now, not stop what we're doing, but release it to the nations. And where that's going to start, we'll talk about that next week. But we are really, I believe, at a crossroads right now where we are moving from just entreating and hosting for ourselves, but to host the nations. And God's presence cannot be confined. Cannot be confined. And so our direction this year is going to be host His presence, host the nations, but specifically Isaiah 61, which says, Arise, shine, for the glory of the Lord is risen upon you. And I would say it's arise, shine now, not later, but now, right? For the light has come now. And so we're going to talk more about that. But to talk about this a bit, I want to just kind of do a little bit of groundwork, foundation for this, because everything about where we're going to go depends on the glory of God. Everything about where we're going to go depends upon the glory of God. And it says, arise, shine, your light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon you. Everything where we go to host the presence of God, everywhere we go to host nations, if you want to call it that way, depends upon the glory of God. So this morning I want to just briefly talk about, just briefly, I'm not even going to go where I was going to go. I will continue that next week, but I'm just going to talk a little bit about something. And then I felt that we're to, in a few moments, just to pray impartation on you for this year. And I'll explain why in a few moments. So I'm going to invite you in a few moments to come and stand at this altar, and we want to pray impartation upon you for this year, because you have a purpose in Arise and Shine, and you have a specific destiny. You were created for a reason. God's got plans for you that He wants you to fulfill, and we want to pray into that. We want to release that. We want to just say, God, let this be the year that we move into those places of destiny. Let this be the year. I always have this thought. Can you imagine getting to a place where you're in your senior years and you sit back and go, I did nothing to fulfill the purposes for my life but feed my own desires. I don't ever want to get there. where I would sit there in a old folks home reflecting on life, or on the porch of your chair in your rocking chair with blankets around you. And it's July, you know. I don't want to get there and look back at my life and go, I never moved in the purposes of God. You know, there's been a lie that's been out there that you retire and then you let other people start serving God. Wow, what a lie. What a lie. A couple of years ago at the cottage, the Lord kind of showed me some things about that. That I believe the retirement system that we have in the world, you know, we've been seduced into moving from being active for God to being inactive. Because the world system is Freedom 55, shut down when you're 55 or whatever. And a lot of people do that in the church. They go, okay, now I'm going to move to Florida. Now it's my time for the next 35 years to do nothing. You may retire. I'm not saying you don't want to retire from a job. I'm not saying that. But in the kingdom of God, you never retire. And so you have a purpose. Matter of fact, if anything, you got more time to do your purpose now. You're pulling in a retirement income. If that, you've got an opportunity now to do what you've always desired. But here's the lie. People go, when I retire, fine, I'll get. But how many know if you don't serve now when you're busy, usually when you get to retire, you still serve yourself again? And so we're going to pray over you this morning that there's going to be a change, a shift, that you're going to rise and go into your destiny. You're going to walk into your purpose. You're going to walk into your calling, because these are the greatest days of your life right now. Not next year. Not next year. But now. Now. Arise, shine. I sent that out New Year's Day as a declaration, a prophetic declaration. Arise, shine, for your light has come. I want you to say that. Arise, shine, for your light has come. It's time. It's time. So I want to just talk briefly about something that goes with that. I want to talk about embracing your glory. Some of you, embracing your glory. Some of you are going, glory? That sounds almost blasphemous. My glory. I'm not going to be able to resolve that statement today. I will next week. But you have a glory God's given for you to shine in the earth. You have a glory that's been given to you to shine. You have a glory that the world needs to see. You have a glory, and you need to embrace that glory. And I've said this in House of His Presence. They've been getting bits and pieces of this message for a few weeks now. But the church is meant to be a glorious church in the earth. The church is meant to be a glorious body of people where the world looks at the church and goes, my goodness, those people are some of the smartest on the earth. Those people are some of those brilliant doctors and scientists coming from the church. My goodness, those are the best car salesman people. They're so honest and they sell more than anybody else. My goodness, where do those people come? And the world flocks to you because you have an excellence about you. But it's your glory that is shining through. And some of you are going, I've never heard that. I have a glory? Yes, you have a glory that you need to rise into. And it's this year that you need to do that. So what I'm going to do this morning is just briefly just start where it began and where this whole aspect of embracing your glory really begins. We've been there before, but I really need to talk about this one more time. I was going to take us the whole distance through to even resolve this whole thing, but sharing with you about how your glory comes about and where that goes. But this is a year for you to rise into your glory, rise into that place where you are a glorious one. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you're more glorious. I'm not going there, but you have a glory. But you have to tap into that. You have to go with it, and you have to move with it. You know, and I'll point you out, Megan. There's a glory upon you in the dance that those in the world can look at and go, where does she get that from? And you'll go, I don't know. Well, you do, but You didn't train for it. But it's a dance that God's going to bring, there's going to be a glory upon you in the dance where you're going to be the envy of those who are professional dancers. There's a glory that is just waiting for each one of you just to burst out. It is. I will get there biblically to show you that next week, but there's a glory in you that's waiting to burst forth like the break of dawn. It's waiting to come out of it. It's waiting to come from the church. The church, unfortunately, has not been a glorious entity to the world to this point. To this point, the church has been a bondage to the world. When people consider the church, they go, well, that's just a place of rules and regulations and stuff like this and garbage and all that stuff, and But no, the church is supposed to be a glorious body where the people shine, and the world is almost jealous of what's coming out of the church. As I said, the best scientists, the best doctors, the best nurses, the best mechanics, they should come from the church. The best electricians should come from the church, who can solve some of the world's issues. They should send some believers over to some place in the corner and say, we have a problem with the hydro thing here. No one else can figure it out, but we've somehow got word that you probably are the one. So you hop in your car, you jump on a plane, you go to the remotest parts of the world, and a Christian solves a crisis that's somewhere. It's just like, it's the way it's supposed to be. It's the way it's always meant to be, but somehow religious spirits got in there and crushed it all and crushed your glory. And so for me to say that, some of you are almost even cringing to think. I want you to say this morning, I have a glory. Some of you felt a little, saying that even. Not saying go get proud and arrogant, but you have a glory. And you need to embrace that glory, otherwise you'll never walk in it. So how does that happen? Where does that begin? I want you to go to 2 Chronicles 7 with me. We've been here before, but I got to start here again. 2 Chronicles chapter 7. Solomon had just dedicated the temple that David had desired to be built. The helm had been turned over to Solomon. It was in David's heart to build a permanent dwelling place for the ark. And God said, we're going to do this, but you're not the one, and Solomon's going to be the one. And so Solomon, of course, was the one to build it, placed the ark in the temple, and then dedicated it. What an amazing time. What? You read through 5 to 6, 7, wow, 1 Chronicles, just this amazing stuff going on. Well, anyways, let's start here. As soon as Solomon finished his prayer, verse 1 of 7, 2 Chronicles 7:1, fire came down from heaven and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices, and the glory, say glory, of the Lord filled the temple. And eventually it landed on you. I'm going to talk about that next week, but that glory there filled the temple and eventually landed on you, because you have a glory. And the priest could not enter the house of the Lord because the glory, say glory, of the Lord filled the Lord's house. When all the people of Israel saw the fire come down and the glory of the Lord on the temple, they bowed down with their faces to the ground on the pavement and worshiped and gave thanks to the Lord, saying, for he is good, for his steadfast love endures forever. So I want to talk about how you get the glory started. Where does that begin? And it begins right here with David. Everything about Solomon's temple began with David. I was reading yesterday, and I read through those first few chapters before they actually dedicated, and I read through with a little more looking at it, Solomon's prayer. Solomon ends acknowledging it was my father who brought this about. Even Solomon said that. He said, it was my father and your love for him and his faithfulness that brought us to this point today. Fire came from heaven The glory filled the temple, not so much because of what Solomon did, but because of what his father David did. What did his father David do? He entreated and hosted the presence of God. And so I want to talk about that for a few moments this morning, but each one of us entreating and hosting the presence of God. I'm still knowing that others are watching on going, this is neat, but I've still not really engaged. Can I say this? What Joseph has spoken over you this morning exists within the presence of God. What he declared over you this morning is not outside the presence, it's in the presence. It's in the presence of God. Your agenda, your purpose in life, the reason that you were created, the reason God called you, you'll never, ever, ever find what it is truly meant to be outside of walking in that tight presence of God. If you want to find the agenda for this year, for your life, if you're saying, hey, God, where am I? Where am I going? What's the purpose? Why have you called me? Where do I fit into Arise, Shine? Because remember, the whole Host His Presence, Host of Nations is all about hosting the presence of God and finding out where you fit in His plan. So if you're saying, where do I fit in the plans of God in 2016? You will not find it if you do not entreat and host His presence. The best you'll do is come up with a mind thought of what something you want to do. But your agenda is found within His presence. So here we have David. He's got this passion in his heart. He's always had it to be in the presence of God. And so this comes about when he becomes king. You know what happens. He takes the ark, brings it out of being lost, brings it back to Israel. Once he gets it back to Israel, he establishes it that this ark will never, 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 never be neglected again. And they put it, first of all, and I love this, because David makes a mistake. Remember that when he's bringing the ark back to Jerusalem and they put it on a cart? The ox stumble. Uzzah, one of the priests, goes to try to stabilize the ark, touches the ark. God slays him. Won't get into what happened, what went wrong there, except for David was afraid, said, I'm not taking the ark any further. Who'll take this into their house? Obed-Edom. Obed-Edom says, okay, I'll take it. David says, you take it. Because I'm not taking it, you take it. And I just want you to understand, when Obed-Edom took it into his house, blessing began to fall upon him like he'd never seen. I want to say this to you guys. If you want to move into blessing, if I could beg you to do this, I would. But everything about God's blessing in your life comes in His presence. Everything. Everything. For 3 months, Obed-Edom began to entreat and host God. Because for them, the ark was God. For them, the ark was the presence of God. They didn't have the indwelling presence that you would have. So they would come, him and his sons, and they would worship before the ark every day. And they would do all that was required. They would worship in their house, this ark. And God he just brought down so much blessing that eventually word got back to King David. David goes, if that can happen to him in 3 months, I want that ark in my house. How many think that's a smart thing to do? If that's what the ark can do, if that's what the presence of God can do, I want it in my house. Now, how many think it would have been pretty foolish for David to go, yeah, I think we'll just leave it there. I think we'll just leave it there. I'm watching him get blessed, but yeah, I think we'll just leave it there. Raise your hand if you think that's kind of dumb. Now, how many have watched God bless other people and still go, yeah, I'm going to just keep watching. It's happening in this room. Look to your neighbor and say, are you one? I'm just kidding. So David gets this jealousy, this godly jealousy we call it, and makes it sound better. And he brings the ark back to Jerusalem, and he sets up a system whereby they will never neglect the ark again. So he built this tent already for it. You know how, because I'm just kind of bringing this back, because you need to see the story again. he creates this tabernacle, and it eventually gets called David's tabernacle, even though it was for God. They put the ark into it, and then he says, okay, I'm the king. I can say what goes. And he establishes a calendar. He says, these are all my priests. These are all the people. You're going to worship every day, day in out, day out. Day. You're going to be morning to night. You're going to be night to and he established it so that it would be this 24/7 worship. It was with trumpets. It was with singing. It was with speaking. And every day they just came. Shifts changed. Priests changed. Went home. Yeah, I had a busy day of worship today. Went home and came back, and this went on every day. And the blessing of God came on Israel, so that every battle they went into, they won. For the rest of his time, every battle, every challenge that came against him, they won, it says. Because he was worshiping the Lord as a lifestyle. He was hosting his presence. Can I say this? The challenges that you might have in 2016 will be overcome if you're in his presence. Honestly, the challenges that you will face. Don't be like somebody looking at Obed-Edom going, yeah, that sounds good, but I don't think I'll give it a try. Do it. Honestly. The challenges that face your life, you will overcome them in the presence of God. There's nothing that cannot be overcome in the presence of God. Nothing that cannot be overcome. I don't care what your challenges are, they can be and will be overcome. It all depends on whether you will say, I am going after the presence of God like I have never done before. I am pursuing him. And so David established this whole thing up. That's where it all went. So for the next 37 years after it was established, he went after the presence of God like he had never done before. And this went on all the way to the time he passed the throne over to Solomon. And then it's in that process that he had in his heart to build a permanent dwelling place for God. That's when we come to 2 Chronicles 7. And even in Solomon's prayer, he says, this is happening here today because of my dad. Read the prayer. He goes, this is because of your faithfulness to my father, David. He acknowledged that this is the only thing. So I'm here to tell you, 2016 is here. We're saying arise, shine. I don't want you to get into the mode you think we're going to start doing stuff now, finally, outside of this. Now I don't have to come to the house of his presence. Now we can actually do stuff. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you want to find your place, you got to do more of that. You got to do more of that. But not just here, of course. You got to do that in your bedroom. You got to do that in your car. We were at the farm for a few days. I used every opportunity when I was by myself, and you put that together. I welcome the Lord to come. Now, just throughout the days, I had a chance to by myself, and I was welcoming the Lord. This has got to be a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. This is just what you do. You're just constantly welcoming the Lord. See, I'm here to tell you that 2016 is not going to come by clever design. It's not going to come because you finally sat down around a boardroom table and you came up with some real neat ideas. Let's do these for this year. I'll tell you, they're probably going to fail. But you pursue the presence of God as a number one passion. Your agenda will rise up out of that, and you will begin to walk in your purposes in 2016. And I believe that God's bringing us to a transition right now where he's going to take, especially for those who've been hosting well, and move them very quickly into purpose. We were here last night as a pastoral staff worshiping. We cleaned up the tree and all that, and then we began to pray, because what we need, and we talked about this along the way, is we need wisdom now to help us go from the hosting full-time to taking hosting now to outside. We need wisdom. And so here we are, we're looking at Arise, Shine 2016, and what happened is David... Solomon built the temple, placed the ark in the temple, and then, the glory of God says, I'm good with that, and it drops into the temple. Okay? They hosted the presence for David's lifetime, basically, and then the glory came. He hosted the presence as a lifestyle. Then they built this permanent dwelling place. And you go, well, why did God wait for the glory to show up then? And I think it's because he said, this is a permanent way I want life. This was meant to be permanent. He goes, this is what I want to be a permanent way of life. And so they moved the ark into the temple. And I love what it says. It says the glory of God comes, and it's so heavy the priests fall to their knees. They basically can't stand. That's pretty awesome. Like Jim. Hey? Get in the presence of God, you can't stand. That's what happened to them. The glory of God just comes upon them in such a fashion. It says the priests couldn't stand. It didn't say they couldn't enter at this point. It says they couldn't stand. Wow. Yeah. Breathe that one in. To be overcome by the glory of God. That's what they were being overcome. So they go on, I guess they get their legs under them, and Solomon continues on, and he prays this lengthy prayer. And then there's a sacrifice waiting, I guess, to be made after he prays. It says when he finishes prayer, that the fire fell from heaven, the glory came again. This time it filled the place, it filled it so much that the priest could not even get into the building. Never mind stand, they couldn't get in the building. So here they're all outside the building. The glory of God's in charge in the building, and it's also on top of the building. And I've said this before. It's crazy how the people respond. They don't get in fear. They don't go running for the houses. Hide the kids! Hide the kids! Fire's going to burn us. They fall to their knees and they go, he's a good God. His love endures forever. He's a good God. His love. Come on. Fire's shooting down from heaven, consuming sacrifice. Glory is radiating from the thing, and the people just think of his love and his goodness. And I've said this quite a while ago, that's what happens when the glory comes. It points to the love of God. It doesn't chase us away from God. It points to his love. It reveals his love. We're going to talk about how Jesus said, you need to see my glory, because see, it draws people in. And it actually did here. It drew the people into the Father's goodness. I don't think they rehearsed, and someone said, should the glory of God come, should fire come, here's what you say. He's a good God, and his love endures forever. I don't let that just spontaneously erupted. They just unanimous felt it. He's a good God. His love endures forever. And I said this, the fire came, the glory came. Why didn't it come to the tent? Why did it come to this moment where there was a temple? Because I believe it was a prophetic word for us. Is that the glory of God, as Habakkuk said, in order for it to flood the earth as the waters cover the sea, it's going to come from the church. The glory of God is going to come from the church. Guess whose glory? Your glory. If you don't carry glory, there will be nothing to be released. If you don't carry glory, there will be nothing to be released. There will be an empty vessel. That's a huge prophetic statement. The glory of God comes on the temple. And I know why it came on the temple. This is just my thoughts, but it's because he's saying, because this is where the glory is going to come from in the New Testament. It's going to come from the people of God. It's going to come from the church. It's going to come from the house of God. It's going to be released into the earth. Habakkuk said that there's going to be a revelation of the knowledge of the glory of the Lord flooding the earth as the waters cover the sea. The glory of God is going to flood the earth. It's already doing it right now. As the church is carrying it out. But if we're not carrying it out, what's getting flooded? So, here we are today. If you want to be part of Rise Shine 2016, it won't be because you found a clever way. It'll be because you made the number one passion of your life the presence of God. Because your glory that needs to flood the earth, your glory that needs to be released, comes out of the presence. The glory of God in the temple came out of the presence. Even Solomon said, this is not my doing, this is the doing of my father. Because God's a faithful, my father's God's a faithful God, has been faithful to my father David. This is what it's all about. Everyone look at me. How many would agree this is not church as usual?
Right.
This is much bigger than church as usual. Yeah. How many see why church has been so ineffective for so long?
Yeah.
To come in and sing 3 choruses to sing a thing, hallelujah, chorus, you want, go out feeling pumped up, leave the church, there you go, you've done your... How many can see how empty that is? That'll never flood the earth.
Yeah.
A church service will never flood the earth, so if that's where we stay, we will be somebody, I believe, that's eventually to be pushed aside until God finds a church that his light can flow through, and the glory can come through. And these are people who will acknowledge my glory and embrace the glory I've given them. I'm already giving stuff away, and then they're going to run with the glory that I've given them. Because your glory does not come from what you did, just so you don't get a big head before now. That's not it. Your glory doesn't come because of what you did. Your glory comes what he gave you. We'll talk about that next week. But this morning what I'm going to do is Jed, come. Jed, just the two of you. I just felt to pray an invitation on the church today. Arise, shine. But it starts in the presence of God. You know, house of his presence is what God has given us here in our dwelling place. And by the way, if you want to see the name dwelling place used over and over again, read Solomon's prayer. Over and over again, he says, you've made this your dwelling place. You are God of the dwelling place. And it's over and over to talk about us in the Bible. But we have a unique calling. God's called for us to do something. Church, I want to say it again. The very first Sunday, we've been called to host his presence as a place where his presence can radiate for our city and for our region. So here's what happens. When I come in here between 6 and 7 every day, I don't come to get. Although I do get a lot. But I don't come to say, okay, I feel so good today. I feel like I'm in a receiving mood. I come. Sometimes I don't feel like any mood. And I come. And I give to God. I worship him. I entreat him. I give thanks. I give praise. It's the joy of my life. Honest. It's the joy of my life. I had a dream. I want to tell you this dream. Then we're going to go to prayer. I had numbers of dreams every night when I was at the farm. But the one I'll share with you is amazing. Actually, I had one last night where God was just doing something amazing. I don't even remember, but I woke up. I thought I was sleeping all night, but it was so impacting me, and the presence was so empowering. I woke up at 2 in the morning. I was disappointed it was only 2. Because I wanted to get out of bed and start the day. Because whatever was happening, I don't even remember now, but I remember God was working. There was some treating going on in my dreams. And I felt so refreshed. I could have started the day at 2 in the morning. My day would have ended by noon today, but if I did that. But the dream that I had the other night was in house of his presence. But it was in a church large that would seat thousands. But it was in house of his presence. We got this influx of people coming, not to the service on Sunday, but to the house of his presence. There was such an influx of people that I didn't even know what to do. And it was like, I realized, I don't know who I said this, I said, we weren't prepared, we're not ready for this. Get ready quickly, and somehow we did, and the next day it happened again. And at the end of the house of his presence, and again, we're talking like there was hundreds and hundreds of people there. It was a church that could seat thousands. And it was also, you're supposed to pray for healing for people now. So we did. We began to release healing for people. And I prayed with people for specific things, and then also dawned on me, okay, if you've been prayed for something, begin to check. And people began to check and go, I'm healed. And it began to be so dramatic. And then the healing just began to dramatically increase. God responds. I don't know why I gave that dream. I don't know why I gave it, but I woke up so excited. And it was in the house of his presence that I saw this happen, healing coming. So we're probably going to begin to include more. Matter of fact, I won't say that. I'll leave them for next Sunday, but plans for husband's presence are going to be awesome. But God is so excited when people will entreat him. So excited that he'll bless you abundantly if you come for him. If you come for him, he'll bless you and your household. Can I say this? If you want, how many have children who are not serving God right now? Entreat his presence and God's going to save your children. Entreat his presence. Some of us have been praying for prodigal children for so long, and God's waiting for you to entreat him so he can entreat your children. I read this a little while ago during the Christmas season, and it just almost broke into tears because I read about the prodigal son. You know, we've been praying for these people, these kids, to come home to God. But look at the prodigal son. He's coming home, and it says when he was a long ways off, the father saw him. That meant he had to be looking for the son before the son was looking for the father to come back. That meant for every day the son was gone, the father's going, I want him back. And I don't know how, there might have been a high point where every day he'd get up and he'd just browse and just stand there and look. I don't know. But it says when the son was far way off, the father was already looking. And some of you have been just crying out to God for your children. I'm telling you, stop doing the old way, do it the new way. Establish tabernacle of David in your life, in your home, with us in the church. God will restore your family. I'm convinced of that. I'm convinced of that. Your destiny waits in what you do. See, the glory that God releases on you becomes a covering for you and your family. And your kids are going to get off uncomfortable sitting under that glory cloud that you've created. And within a short time, the glory cloud that you have radiating from your life over your family, this is just where this happened, is we become such a covering and umbrella for them that the kindness of God is going to lead them to repentance. And you won't have to guilt them to church. You won't have to do anything, but the goodness of God and the glory that's in your life is going to draw your kids in. I'm telling you something, we've been doing this all wrong. We've been going after stuff the hard way when God said, do it the way I've always purposed it. You're saying, Pastor Dale, why do you think that's true? Go to Acts 15:15. James declares, what you see happening in the book of Acts is God is rebuilding the tabernacle of David so that the remnant of seekers may now come to him. When the tabernacle of David is rebuilt, when that present seeking, when that desire for him is rebuilt, he will do what he needs to do because you've made a path for him to do it in. You made a house for him to work in. In order for your kids to come to him, stop asking for the kids to come back to him. Because God never said that's how they're going to come back. He said, I will build the tabernacle of David so that the remnant may seek the Lord. And the remnant, some of them are your kids. Some of them are your spouses. Honestly, I'm not blowing hot air here. Acts 15:15 says it. You read it yourself. But they're trying to figure out what's going on. People are getting saved. Jews are getting saved. Gentiles are getting saved. James finally says, well, this is what is supposed to happen. The tabernacle of David is being rebuilt so that the remnant of seekers may seek the Lord. There are lost people waiting on you to be a house of David, to be a tabernacle that has been rebuilt. They're waiting, and I believe your kids are waiting for you to be a tabernacle so they can come running back to the Father. Because he's already looking, waiting for them. Are you hearing this? Your destiny, your kid's destiny is found in your willingness to make your life a tabernacle of David. And there's also a corporate thing that we're talking about here. For this church to move into its dwelling place destiny, we're saying we need together to come, because in that corporate sense, we're dwelling together. We're entreating the Father together. Because we want this for more than my house or your house. We want this for our city. And I can't be a house for my city. We all have to be a house. In our region. So cool. Pastor Jed was praying yesterday. We were praying about wisdom and what God would do. And he said this. He said, he prayed, he said, God, I pray that you give us wisdom to know who to connect with in this process and who not to connect with, who to launch up with. And the word was the people we connect with, whatever it was. And I get home that evening, I have an email from Pastor Jiva. He says, hey, I've got a few people coming over Friday. Joe Garcia and another person. Would you guys come be the third couple? We'd like to get a hangout together. That wasn't too hard to say she would go. You fainted. Wasn't too hard to say she would go. God's going to do that to you guys. He's going to connect you up in a supernatural way so your life is going to be something, because you have a glory that is waiting to be exploding out of you, but it will not explode out of you because you come to church once a week or because you treat the Lord once in a while, but because you've made yourself a dwelling place, you've made yourself a tabernacle of David, and you joined us together to be a corporate dwelling place. God gave us that name. That's not us. Every person we've talked to said that's the name that fits you guys so dramatically. Because you guys are doing that. That's you. That's you. That's you. There's not one person, I bet, even in our district who said, oh, not a good name. It appears we were supposed to ask for approval before we changed it from them. I just went ahead and changed it, then got forgiveness later. I found out, oops. But they blessed us. We have a certificate now. They all said, we love your name. That's who we are. Your destiny in 2016, arise, shine, won't come because we have. Pastor Jed made some good posters. Great, as long as we hang those, it'll work. No, the Bible talks about this hidden secret wisdom from God. I keep giving away stuff. That's going to bring the glory to shine, but not because we have nice banners. It's because God's moved in. So I'm going to pray over you guys this morning. We're just going to ask you to come and line up. If I could have Joseph and Jim, if you could kind of work with us. Rosemary, could help us. Just kind of praying over people coming home. We will pray for you guys too. But we need a catcher for Jim, as Jim will be a catcher. So Jim will be a catcher, Joseph will be the catcher for Jim. It's just fun to be family, isn't it? Jim's just so sensitive to the presence of God. It's like what I want for every one of you. When the wind starts to even blow a little bit, I feel it. Some of us, we need a gust like a tornado before we even feel it. Jim just gets a little breeze and love it. I love it. God, give me that. Stand. So we're going to begin to pray for you. We're just going to bring in impartations to say, God, for 2016, that you would be a dwelling place, a tabernacle of David. Because that's the key to the glory that you need. Are you with me? You understand that? I'd like to just say, go ahead and find some clever way to do this, but that's not the way. The way is the presence of God. When you make yourself a tabernacle, when you offer your life as a living sacrifice, guess where the fire's going to fall? Guess where the fire's going to fall? Where there's a sacrifice.